Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pressing Matters. I'm Scott. Thank you for tuning in today and thank you for your support. Today I'm going to be talking about another classical reissue label that I think deserves your attention. This is something I've wanted to talk about for a while on the channel, but I've been kind of preoccupied with the Analog Productions Living Stereo series. And I think I kind of put the cap on that coverage with the 10 must-have titles from the Analog Productions Living Stereo series. They are selling out fast. I will still do some comparisons as I see fit, but I didn't want the opportunity to pass without talking about Testament and their beautiful EMI reissues. I'm not sure if Testament is still an entity or not. I haven't seen any new titles come from them for a long time, but they still seem to be being repressed on occasion. And the ones I'm going to show you today are a mix of things that are available and aren't available. If you want to check the availability for Testament, just go to Elusive Disc or Analog Acoustic Sounds and you'll see what's available at the moment. Testament really seems to have mined deeply into the catalog, looking for things of performance value, of rarity and historical importance. These are recordings from the late 50s and early 60s. I think everything I have here is stereo. There are some mono reissues too as well. So a nice varied catalog containing orchestral music, a lot of violin music, and some operatic recitals. So I'll show you a little bit of each today. The reissues are really well produced. There is no mastering engineer noted, but they are all analog masterings and they are pressed on 180 gram vinyl in the UK. The pressings are very good and the reproduction on the jackets is excellent as well. They are direct-to-board jackets, so they're not quite like the tip-on jackets we've gotten used to from some of the other series, but I don't mind. For records of this importance, they're very, very well done. The first three records I'm going to show you are very rare in their original pressings. They're all by Leonid Kogan. And if you were to want to acquire this record in its first pressing, even in VG Plus condition, you would probably pay $7,500. Yeah. If you were to take the first three records I'm going to show you together, you would be probably paying at least $15,000 for them. Isn't that incredible? Yeah. This is one of the rarest classical records you can search out in its original pressing. It was put out on the EMI Columbia label. And I'm going to show you what this looks like. This is the Beethoven Violin Concerto with Leonid Kogan, the Paris Conservatoire Orchestra, conducted by Konstantin Silvestri. I'm not sure of the location of this recording, but they have reproduced the jacket perfectly. Looks great. Very, very nice. And they've taken the care to give us the beautiful black and silver, blue and silver label. It's so pretty. I always love that label. Of course, I don't have very few originals on this label. Longtime audiophile collectors know that the SAX prefix means a rare record, pretty much. That's going to command a decent price. Yeah, these British, early British classical records are very rare. $7,500 for that. It's a great performance, very beautiful playing from the orchestra. The recorded sound is vintage EMI 1960s, which means very good. The violin tone is great. The orchestral parts are good, maybe not quite as open and separated as a Kenneth Wilkinson recording, but they're very good. And I think for anyone searching for this performance that wants an all analog pressing, this is still available for $34.95, and I think it's not going to be around forever. It is one of the most desirable violin records you can buy. The second one, also by Kogan, is the Brahms Violin Concerto. This reproduction is very good. It's almost a perfect replica, except some of these Testament reissues have used the modern EMI logo on them, and I don't know why they did that. It really bugs me, but be that as it may, they did it on the label too. Yeah. I can overlook it though for this performance. You know, I've gotten used to Heifetz's performance of these 3 concertos that I'm going to show you, and it was such a pleasure to hear a different interpretation by a master, and he was quite something in the early 60s, Leonid Kogan. The third one is the Tchaikovsky, and this one is reproduced authentically. It looks great. They didn't mar the label either. That's the original label. It looks great. It sounds great. This is a wonderful performance as well, and excellent playing from the orchestra. I really loved all 3 of these. I listened to them last night on the VPI Scout with the Phase-Mation cartridge, and I was transported. I was transported back to that era and listening to this performance and just feeling like I was in the concert hall. And that's the biggest compliment I can pay to that. The last Kogan record I'm going to show you is probably sonically superior to the other 3. Probably the recording was just done a little better or a little differently, maybe a different hall. This is the Philharmonia Orchestra with Kondrashin. So this is Lalo Symphony Espagnole. I've talked about the Lalo Symphony Espagnole when I discussed the RCA Living Stereo version by Zering. So this is a little different, I would say, I don't know. I don't really have a comment on the differences in the performances, except that I enjoyed both very much. And I really loved hearing this early EMI sound and this beautiful performance of a work that I'm just becoming more and more familiar with as time goes on. I think that's my second Lalo Symphony Espagnole. So that's recommended. And I think all 4 of these are still available. I know this one is. I know the Tchaikovsky is. I'm not sure of the Brahms. And this one is still available, $34.95. A while back I talked about finding this record in its original pressing for $1. And it was in like near mint condition. I'm talking about this one, The Magic Bow, Micheal Rabin, the Hollywood Bowl Symphony Orchestra, conducted by Felix Slatkin. This was a very welcome reissue from Testament. Super rare to find a decent copy. This was on Capitol in America, but this is how the original pressing looked. And they reproduced that FDS label beautifully too. This is a great reissue. It's very comparable to the original that I have, and it's so nice to have a super clean copy. You know, Capitol vinyl at that time was not always the best, so that's a very welcome reissue. That is still in print as well. Then I wanted to talk about one of my favorite artists. I've talked about her on the channel before, Maria Callas. I did a video when I reviewed that beautiful box set of the live version of Lucia from 1954, I think it was. And you could tell that I'm in love with Maria Callas. Well, I had some great experiences with these 2 records. One of them I just got today. So I only listened to it once, and this is the French Opera Arias record. I have this in an Angel pressing. This was much better, and it's a beautifully produced reissue with the original, you know, the same blue and red label. Unfortunately, the EMI logo is gracing the cover and the label, but I really enjoyed the performance, particularly the Carmen aria. It's wonderful. And the recorded sound and orchestral sound is quite good too. But it wasn't like this. This I listened to last night. And I listened to the whole thing. And I was completely entranced with this record. I have this in an EMI ASD pressing, which is like a second pressing. This is a perfect introduction for anyone that has a slight fascination with Maria Callas, but also that hasn't really dipped their toe into opera and maybe wants a taste but doesn't want to jump completely in. This gives you some wonderful highlights from several operas. Beautiful arias, beautifully sung, and it sounds great. The orchestral sound in this is really, really good. Much, much better than what I heard on the Kogan records. And the voice is wonderful. The phasmation really kept this very dynamic record under control. There are some really amazing vocal gymnastics on this, and the phasmation held it all together perfectly. There was no distortion whatsoever, even on the most high peaks of her voice. It was impressive. I love this record. I could have a zillion copies of it, and I love each one of them. It's beautiful. It's out of print, but the Maria Callas records and opera in general don't really command super high prices on the used market. You might be able to find a used one of these for $40 or so, and I highly recommend that. It was really, really special. The last one also is really special. I remember reading about this once, a review of it, and I think it was the Absolute Sound, not the Testament reissue, but the record in general. And I put a note in my mind to look for it one day. And one day I did find an ASD pressing of it. The original pressing is on Columbia EMI. And Testament chose to reissue this early on. And it's just a splendid record. Really, really good. This is the last one I'm going to show you. And it's a fitting one. It's Strauss's 4 Last Songs. Words can't describe how beautiful this record is. First of all, if you bother to read the translations of the songs, they're quite moving. These were written at the end of Richard Strauss's life, so they're very poignant and very beautiful. And the performance, the orchestra, the sound has a voluptuous beauty to it. Elizabeth Schwarzkopf sings this so well. You're almost in tears at the end of the record. It's so pretty. Really a wonderful record. Oh my God. Oh, I got to show you the label. Usually I just listen to the first side, the 4 Last Songs, because, you know, it's so moving that you really don't need much more, but there are some songs on the other side as well. That's the Columbia Magic Note label, I think they call it. But it's been altered with the EMI logo. So, you know, these Testament reissues are a great way to get rare recordings of beautiful music that will enhance your collection. As I said, many of these are unobtainable for any kind of reasonable price. And if you can find them in print or even out of print for not too much money, they're well worth obtaining. I'm so glad to have brought this subject to your attention. Let me know what you think in the comments about Testament records. And if you have the originals, what you think in comparison. But until next time, I'm Scott for the Pressing Matters. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.